Everyone dreams about living an uncommon life, but how we define that dream is very different for each of us. And for most, it's a lifelong pursuit. Welcome to the Uncommon Life Project podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living that life or enjoying the journey to get there. We're going to also give you some tools, tricks, and tips for starting or accelerating your own efforts to live an uncommon life, a life worth celebrating and savoring. Please welcome your hosts, Brian Dewhurst and Philip Ramsey.
Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Life Project, where I'm your host, Philip Ramsey, and
the Aaron Kramer.
The one and only Aaron Kramer. Holy cow, we're here, we're rocking out. We have a guest today, Stephen Smith.
He's great.
Amazing. We just had a conversation before we jumped on the record, which we normally do, but I'm really excited to jump into this guy. Cajun Fest is kind of his jam, his passion. He was doing something, military guy, traveled the world, realized that like he had a passion for Cajun food, starts the Cajun Fest. And what I want to, I guess, quickly just encourage other people is like he had a passion and he did something about it. He was intentional and he acted on it. And I know there's some listeners out there that have some ideas. All you need to do is act on those things. So I hope this is encouraging. I hope that like this whole podcast, you can just hear the enthusiasm and passion that he gets to have every day. He wakes up, loves what he does. So Stephen Smith, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks very much, both of y'all.
Man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yeah. I'm excited to have you on. For our listeners, like I know Stephen, he's a personal friend of mine. And there isn't too many people out there I'd say that have a bigger heart than Stephen. So Stephen loves helping people.
Far too kind. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Far too kind.
Far too kind.
Okay, you're married.
Yep.
What's your wife's name?
JC.
JC.
Yeah.
Okay. And you met?
South Dakota, of all places.
Which there's not a lot of people or good things that happen at South Dakota. So you just took one of them out and they live in Iowa now, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So give us a little bit of a background. What were you doing? And I would say more of the common path. And when were you like, all right, I'm going to jump this ship and I'm going to do the uncommon route? So tell us your background.
Yeah, so honestly, I moved here from Louisiana to work for one of our Fortune 500s here in Des Moines, doing the things that you should be doing in that pathway. A job that really aligned with my skill set, my education, good pay, all those things. I'm not a corporate guy, I find out. At the end of the day, I find out that that's not where I get my joy and my energy. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of great learning lessons.
Right.
I got to see a lot.
Right.
But at the end of the day, not the thing that's probably going to keep me satisfied when I wake up at 40. So for me, it was finding out where else do I get that passion from. And honestly, it was a jump for me because there was no necessarily safety net waiting for me. I didn't have a lot of things lined up per se. I just knew that there's got to be more to this. So
yes. Were you married at the time of JC?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yep.
So, and was she working?
She was. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a social worker, so bigger heart than me.
Bless her heart.
And more patience, certainly, because I don't have that.
I know, I hear you.
I get the
So
passion.
you come home from work at the Fortune 500, not to name any names, principal, and then and then you say, "Hey, babe, like, I'm not feeling it."
Yeah.
What was her initial response? Because here's what I say: there is a common theme of people that we have on this podcast. And I have a feeling she'll say the same thing. So
I
go
hope
ahead.
the answer was support, because if you don't have that emotional support, there's no chance, right?
Right, yeah. And that's exactly right. If your spouse isn't going to support you on your uncommon journey, don't do it.
Yeah,
like
100%.
100%. So JC says, babe, I love you. I'm here for you. Do it.
You wouldn't be the same if you didn't have that fire. So please keep that fire burning bright, whatever it takes.
Right.
We got this kind of thing.
So she says, you got this.
Yep.
I'm here for you.
We got this, yeah.
Awesome.
Dude, let's go. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
No, not at all. So, started a company that I work with now. Was doing that for a year and still working in that company, small software firm. But simultaneously, that's where the whole Cajun Fest thing kicked off. So, honestly, since I left principal and my family's career military, I've been the only one to kind of take this entrepreneurial
path
out there on yourself, non-linear path, and it's been a lot of fun, man.
Okay,
awesome.
so you go for it. You go for it. You say, listen, what was it about Cajun food that made you passionate? Obviously, Louisiana, that's like the heart of Cajun. But like when you first tasted Cajun, tell us about that experience.
So, I mean, as much as I love the flavors and the spices and the atmosphere that is Louisiana and New Orleans, all the things you think about, it was more about the atmosphere and who you're doing it with. So the South is very communal based.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that kind of spawned Cajun Fest was the idea of man, I don't see enough neighborhood barbecues here in Iowa.
That's true.
I would love to do one of those, but for me, in my brain, the only thing I knew at the time, moving from Louisiana, was our community barbecues, our neighborhood block parties are crawfish boils. So, man, I haven't really seen any of those things. I've heard of Bacon Fest. I've heard of I've heard of all these different things. Yeah. But, man, what if we did that, but occasion experience, and got everybody around the same table, poured it out on a big table that everyone eats from the same thing. It was more of that community piece.
Getting the visual.
So it's more of the atmosphere than the food itself, although obviously both are fantastic.
Dude, strap yourself in. I feel like we have two things happening here. Yeah. We have your uncommon path of your career, and then you also have this passion project of yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of is like,
yeah,
we got to talk about both. Okay, so you jump off into this kind of like software gig.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's kind of fueling your fire, and then you have this passion of shrimp bowls, or what do we, Cajun,
right? Whatever you want to call it, crawfish boil. Yeah.
So where was your wife in that? Obviously, she's from South Dakota, so she doesn't really know anything about Cajun other than you like the Cajun, Stephen.
Yeah. Well, God bless, she followed me to grad school in Louisiana, so exposed to Mardi Gras and all the things that it takes to be a Louisianan, go Tigers and all that stuff. So it was an easier jump to know that spice and that flavor. Yeah.
She takes a big role in helping out with this Cajun Fest too.
Let's go. Tell me about it, because there's support there, and there's also like grinding.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like, because I get the pleasure of sitting on the board this last year and seeing those two work together is amazing. Like, and it's like most what people think. She's like go go go, and Stephen has to point fingers. Hey, I need this, need that. But they're two partners that, I mean, they're
shoulder to shoulder.
Shoulder to shoulder. They're in the fire, doing the deal. And you see why it's gotten as big as it is, because you guys are a
yin
power
yang,
couple.
man, right?
Yeah.
It's always those yin and yangs that work out so dang well.
Yeah. So it's awesome to watch you guys do that.
First year, what was that? First year that you did the Cajun Fest?
First year was 100 people, mostly old coworkers and employees at that company, getting together at, I think, Saylorville Lake at a public park.
Okay.
It was.
The thought was, we bought a bunch of crawfish and said, hey, come one, come all, no charge. If you want to, here's a big gallon bucket, throw some cash in. Whatever profits we make, we'll throw to a local charity.
Yep.
So early on.
What year was that?
So that's been, we're in our 5th year now. -1 for COVID, so spin the math on that.
2017?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds right.
All right.
So we had that early philanthropic push, too. I mean, the vision and the goal was not only the community side of the barbecue feel, but also like the Robin Hood effect of sending that money back. We all have decent jobs. We're all doing happy and well.
Right.
This was more about, the full ecosystem of being a community, giving it from those who can and giving it back to those who can't. And that was kind of the idea.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you pick the charity? What charity did you pick? And is that the charity you do now?
Yeah. So
a lot of questions.
No, rapid fire. I'm in, man. So the first year was Youth Emergency Services and Shelters.
Yes.
Shelters and Services. Yes.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. Love
Played
that
knockout.
place.
Played knockout there. Have you ever played knockout there?
Not.
Most intense knockout game you'll ever play.
What's knockout?
That was my first
Basketball.
job out of college.
Oh, yeah.
In the gym.
One after the other.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So no, we knew people from there. Youth was so important to us because, again, without sounding super cheesy every time I say it, obviously it is the future, and that's the sustainability of our state and our nation. So started with them, worked with them through the Ellipsis after they came Ellipsis.
Oh, wow.
Last year we actually did 2 organizations. We did IJAG, which is primarily focused on the gap between getting kids to graduate from high school and the next step, whatever that looks like. There is that big gap, and IJAG fills that in incredibly. The other one was St. Vincent of de Paul. So they do some really cool.
Very cool.
Before this, we talked about intention. They're very intentional in the way that they give back to the community. So it's self-sustaining, not always necessarily giving, but self-sustaining.
Right.
Yeah.
And this year, we're still considering who our primary beneficiaries will be this year.
It's cool that you kind of like rotate. I see one that's like always the one, but I like that thought of
Spread the love.
rotating it and having a process through that. So to date, it's been 5 years-ish. How much do you know how much you've given to charity since you started?
So in terms of like all the sponsorships that we've helped raise, we're a little over north of $100,000.
Holy buckets, Batgirl.
Yeah.
So just a passion turns out to empowering others, giving people a community, which I think is super important, but then also intention of giving to a charity. And you're starting to see impact to do that. Like, hang on. So what's the future of Cajun Fest? Because I'm all in. This is great.
I mean, honestly, if I had to think about vision, there's, of course, revenue goals. You got to grow a business.
Yeah.
There are giving goals. You got to keep true to your North Star and your compass. But then when it comes to actually aspirational goals, I think it's twofold. One is, no doubt about it, I want to be in downtown Des Moines with Mardi Gras floats growing down the street as if it's, the St. Patty's Day parade times 10. I want the half-year Mardi Gras downtown. I want 100,000 people. I want throwing beads. I want the whole 9 yards. But the second one is we want to take it on the road. I mean, so many things are cool, but you have to travel to that spot. Once we could make this a self-sustaining charitable function that, works in and gives back to the community in which it's founded.
Yeah.
So we want to take this idea, make it as big and sustainable as we can here, and then take that on the road.
Man, think about this for a second. You've given over $100,000 to charity on a passion.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy when you take a step back and look? I mean, that's to me is mind-boggling.
Yeah, a lot of people, man. A lot of people. It takes a tribe, takes a village.
Right. So tell me about the board that you have. How many people are on it? That kind of thing. Because that's super helpful to keep your true north true.
Yeah.
If there's any variance, you can have people who bounce ideas off of. Where are we going? But I love your vision, by the way, just to say that.
Thanks,
So
I know,
talk about your board.
Appreciate it. I think there's 10 of us now.
Okay.
It really started from a core group of friends who were, talking about this idea of a Louisiana crawfish here in Iowa, some of which were Iowa natives, some of which were Louisiana natives. And now it's slightly grown as we've gotten bigger and need more of a village to friends and family like Aaron, as well as people that have skill sets that we just don't. I mean, honestly, none of us are event managers. We're not festival throwers. We're learning as we go.
Right. The division's big enough that you probably need some expertise.
We need some extra firepower. Yeah, it's been good.
How many people were at your last Cajun Fest?
A little north of 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
there you
was
go.
crazy. It was fun.
Yeah,
I bet.
Me being so I went to the very first one, and I had
100 people.
100 people.
Oh, you were at the first one?
Is it the very first one?
How did you find out about that?
Steven told me.
Okay.
So he's like, "Hey, come out." I was like, "Okay." When we came out, I think it was towards the end that we made it out there, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And I don't like crawfish. Like, it's not my thing. Like cracking things open and eating it. So I didn't have any of the crawfish at the time. But then unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I was like, I feel like a bad friend because then I didn't make it to any of the other ones until this last year.
Okay.
But the beauty of the inside of the silver lining of doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, look at how this is grown.
Difference, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it was just amazing. Like, this is so many people, diverse amount of people, and I was like, amazing. And everyone's super friendly.
Community feel, man.
Yeah,
Right?
it was a community feel. Like, here I'm serving food to people and people just talking to you, playing jokes, because apparently some people think I look like J.J. Watt, so some random guy or tricking his wife.
I always thought Mr. Incredible from the...
yeah, we get that too.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people, good people out there having a blast, and everyone just talking to everybody. So
How do you advertise this? How would people know other than this podcast? Because we know there's so many listeners. I get it. So basically just triple that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's not true for the record.
We've done, because of our size and our resources, we've done a lot of awesome guerrilla marketing. So from the traditional flyers around town and in coffee shops and libraries to pimping out other events and doing things like that. And of course, getting the opportunities to be on things like this. And we've had awesome relationships with Channel 5, who's done some good things for us. But yeah, we've had to be nimble. And I think that's honestly part of the success we can't lose. I think once you get to a certain size, you kind of toss the baby out with the bathwater and completely do something new. And hey, evolve for sure. But don't forget about the little things that made you kill the giants now that you're starting to get big yourself.
yeah.
Right?
I know I'm biased, but this last year, we had an amazing turnout. We were up against some really big events that weekend.
Yeah. Well, it was Principal Charity Classic.
Yep.
Beer Fest and Pizza Fest.
Yeah.
And 1,500 people came?
Yeah.
How you like me now?
Yeah. So, it shows you the community that you're getting to.
Wow.
The people choose that over those ginormous big events. Yeah, competitors.
But yeah, we were fortunate for that. I think again, and not a question that I thought we'd cover, but our model's different, and that was something that was really scary for us. You know, in traditional festivals and things like this, you pay for a ticket, then you go in, and then you buy tickets for everything you do after that.
Yes.
And that didn't really feel like the
right way.
spirit of the community barbecue, right? So for us,
Eliminate friction.
we get you a ticket, and once you're in, eat as much as you want, all you want. We have gumbo, beignets for the kids. We have all these different things. Eat as much as you want because you're welcome here no matter what. And we have to, of course, account for that, and that leaves some, revenue on the table potentially. That leaves some
Well worth it.
well worth the experience. So we're unique in that sense. But again, to your point, I think we capture a certain demographic because of we don't zig just to zag when everyone else is doing it to do it.
Absolutely.
But intention, back to that word again, I think really matters.
Yeah.
How much does it cost now?
$40.
$40 per person.
$40 per person.
Different for kids?
13 and under for free.
Okay. Bring your kids.
Yeah.
When is it 2023? What's the date?
I think we're at June 17th, which is a Saturday now between some of the bigger events, between Art Fest and Wine Fest and things like that. So honestly, found a great weekend.
There you go.
And we're taking it downtown.
Are you? It's getting closer
it's
to
our
the
first
mothership.
step. Exactly. It's our first step, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Have you ever been to Coles Common, right by Fong's and
Yes.
Ricochet,
Yeah.
that big area with the
Yes.
water fountains?
Yep.
That's where we're going this
Oh,
year.
yeah. We're going to be close.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
That'll just bring
excited.
people in just because of the location.
And it's farmer's market that day, too.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
You get out right now.
Yeah.
We got to get people to go to the farmer's market and just
Yep.
bring them on over.
Yep.
Bring them on
Yeah.
over.
Funnel.
Funnel them.
Yep.
What time does it start?
11 to 7.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking logistically.
I'm going to waft the crawfish or the beignets to get the right kind of smells to get you
Yeah,
back over.
right.
Yeah.
I made it perfect because then at 7 when we close down, people just go to the bars.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, perfect, right?
Yeah.
No.
Just keep going. I mean, we had Confluence made us our own beer this year,
Yeah.
which was really good.
Asian
good.
Fest Refresh. That was awesome. Yeah.
It was a good beer.
Yeah. We've
So-
been lucky. We found, we're an LLC, not a 501c3.
Yep.
So that's, adds different challenges. Of course, and when you're in a philanthropic space, that's a different way
is.
to play.
Uncommon.
Very uncommon. But we've been lucky that our sponsors and our partners see exactly what we're trying to do. Of course, we're transparent with our money and things like that, but
Right.
buying the vision the same way that the community members do. So we've been super fortunate.
Steven, that's amazing.
Yeah, very lucky.
All right, I want to go back to your profession at this point.
Yeah.
Has it been the same ever since
Yeah.
the Fortune 500 company?
Yeah, growing the
Stayed-
software. Yeah.
software. And
Yeah.
you're owner of that, right?
Yeah, I'm a part owner of it.
Part owner.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about how that's adapted and evolved as you've been kind of pouring your passion. And how did you balance the two? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, but tell me, how is he balancing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on a very high level philosophical answer to that question, there's a difference between where a lot of people have to feel like a work-life balance, like it's a seesaw, versus a work-life blend, right? I'm doing this now. I'm going to leave here and go to my gym and swim for an hour. And then I'm going to go home and maybe work into the night if that works for me that day. So for me, to compartmentalize is hard, but when you're passionate about things and they kind of just flow through you.
Don't feel like work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's never seemed terribly hard, to be honest with you. And especially, maybe your question, when you're an entrepreneur or a parent, you always dang near feel guilty about doing anything else that's not the immediate, what I immediately see as the light at the end of the tunnel or whatnot.
Need.
But for us, been very lucky, have a great team. The software company has grown, hiring our first people in San Francisco and feeling feeling like we're growing for real.
Yeah.
And the balance has been more of a blend.
Good.
Yeah.
JC still doing the deal?
Still doing the social work, man.
Oh,
yeah.
bless her heart. Just resolute.
Patience,
Just consistent.
Patience, man. Yeah. She's the rock.
I don't know. Let's go. What else do we need to talk about? What do you think the biggest challenge that you had to overcome, either in your professional life or Cajun Fest, that you had to like, oh boy, that's going to knock us off a little bit, knock us back,
Yeah.
but we even got better.
Yeah.
Can you think of one?
I mean, when you're first starting off in anything that is in retrospect small feels huge.
Right.
Right. And how do you not take those emotional lumps and losses, especially when you're having trouble maybe making ends meet or when you're having, P&L issues or cash flow issues? That's a very scary time. And that's when most people, get tried and fall down or fall off.
Yeah.
I do believe with the right support, you can get through that fear. So although I don't have, I guess, a particular answer for either off the top of my head, because we've had so many challenges, as of course you will, especially with, pandemics and
Right.
financial stuff. But it's just usually the fear of the unknown and having things that are small seem so big at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it's cool. It just happened to be, we were out for a beer, Stephen, and we were both there, and it kind of happened around the same time for us, where we're both like, hey, like we both made it.
Oh, wow.
Because, like around, and it's fun to have that journey with somebody, because when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing anything, it's just like those times, like you shared stories about buying presents for JC, and it's like, you just heartbreaks. You're like, oh man, I did this startup, and
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet, because it's a journey.
Yep.
And so there's those hardships there of like, that's why your spouse has to be so tied in, because they don't care. Like here, your heart's broken, but they don't care, because they know like they're there with you through the hardships. And then it was just fun. I still remember the day where like having a beer, and
I cried that day.
I know.
Yeah, I remember.
We like, got up,
Yeah.
had a beer, and we hugged, and we're like, we both made it. We did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
Because
that was
there's
a good
always
time.
this future of unknown. You don't
Yeah.
know. You don't know if it's going to go well or not. And that's the part of this whole uncommon journey that I get excited about. It's like, it might not be successful in the eyes of the world, but in the experience that you're going to like obtain, it's going to be very successful.
Yeah.
Now, it's also fun to have true success financially and seeing success and gains.
Yeah.
But it is interesting when you take a look back and see what you've learned and experienced and see who you are now. Man, what a therapeutic thing to be like, we've come through a lot.
Yeah.
And we have more things that we get to go through, and the experience that we had in the past is going to allow us to navigate those even better.
Best days are ahead of us.
Let's
man.
go.
Yeah.
You know?
Best
Yeah.
days are ahead.
Yeah, because that's the fun thing with Steven. Like, I mean, your background is psychology, so and you're one of my friends that I feel like every time we sit down, I leave him like, I think my IQ went up a point.
Yeah, buddy.
But like we do, like it's fun because there's not very many people like really pay attention, like look back and like look at the growth that you've done and had to overcome. But like you are one of those friends we get to look back and look at those and recognize those hardships.
So good.
So we can grow from them. But then what it really does is, you're the man that really shows how to do it, is be so appreciative of like what you've been blessed with. 'Cause I know you've talked about your struggles, like, should you have gone in the military? Like your dad and your grandpa were extremely successful there, but you're like, I don't know, maybe I should take a different path. And you did, like, but you had to like work through that, because there's a kind of a struggle there, especially when things get hard in the business. And you're like, did I make the right decision?
Right.
But
My Peter Pan-ness,
Yeah.
lead me to astray.
So it's really cool to watch that whole thing come to play.
And to see that you have a thriving marriage throughout it.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even tell you, for the listeners that maybe just be hearing because Steven's so awesome. I get it. But the power of a supportive wife is better than any money ever.
Yeah.
Like you can pretty much conquer everything. This is my stupid saying. If my wife is with me and the whole world is against me, I'll go conquer the world. If my wife is against me, but the whole world's with me, my world's upside down. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I say.
I like it.
And so that's a true testament to what you're doing, and super exciting. So let me ask you this, because one thing that we talked about before this podcast, I want to do with this podcast is help people pursue what they're excited about and what and go impact other people. You've done that really, really well.
Oh, thanks, man.
So
Try.
I think this carries some weight. What would you say to those people that are like, they might be on the bridge, they kind of know what it would take to jump off the bridge, they're too scared to like go invest in themselves? What advice would you give them to like, hey, get up on this bridge and let your parachute fly?
Oh, man. You were kind about saying something about, what keeps you motivated and what gets you to jump off that thing. And I wouldn't have thought of it had you not said it, but I watched a speech that The Rock, of all people, gave. Aaron,
Dwayne Johnson.
If all your people don't know what Aaron looks like, he's huge. And The Rock talks about how in tough times when I'm not sure if I should do this or if that jump is too big, am I risking too much? Is the opportunity to embarrass myself too great? I go back and remind myself, and he goes through his whole story, and I think his production company's called like $7 because he got cut from the football team in Canada, doesn't have a job, doesn't have a savings account, opens up his wallet and has $7.
That's it.
And he'll never not forget those $7 again. So he says, anytime that I have a moment where I'm afraid of jumping off, I have to remind myself of that time or those times where it was really bad. Because again, and really bad doesn't mean you only have $7.
Right.
But for me, at my old company, it was not fulfilled, right?
Right.
And those are the things that sneak up on you in the end, not the immediate pains and pleasures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you wake up in the morning, like let's just ask this to Stephen for the listeners. You try to answer this question. Stephen wakes up in the morning and he loves his life. Yes or no? The answer is yes. Okay. So if he loves his life, like he doesn't work a day in his life.
Yeah.
And so how much is in your 401k account?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, okay, maybe it's important, maybe it isn't, but like it doesn't seem as important if you're thriving and loving your life, impacting people, giving them a community, giving them an avenue to be able to have a Cajun Fest, and like really impact other people. It doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account or in your 401k. It matters how many people are you impacting and how much you get to love your life today.
Yeah.
And if you love your life today, you don't want anything like you don't work a day in your life. Yeah. You don't have to worry about amassing this big amount of wealth in your 401k because at some point I get to retire. Mm-hmm. Well, for you, it's like, I don't feel like I work.
I never want to retire. I mean, if this is working, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's retirement look like for you? Like doing it at a bigger level and having a sweet parade.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mardi Gras beats, which is never bad.
I feel like sometimes, without getting cheesy on y'all, in this whole law of attraction
get
thing.
Cheesy.
Yeah. Law of attraction, right? Like, for me, it's always helped to keep the focus and the vision on what does the end game feel like, but not necessarily what does it look like. Because if I can keep focused on what does it feel like to get whatever it is that's in my mind without defining it, that's when I let go and things are attracted to me. But if I'm trying to script the next step every single time and put my ego in front of the way, everything's going to bother me too much. I'm going to focus on what I don't have right now or the path that didn't get taken. And I'm going to lose the actual right path along the way. So once you let go, it's paradoxically when it seems to come to you, right?
Yeah. Let me give you a different perspective way to see this. Bridezillas. If you focus on all the things that need to go right, you will be a bridezilla.
Yeah.
If you focus on being intentional and being present, you'll have the best day of your life. That's what you're saying, right? In a different way.
Yep.
So what great wisdom. Steven, this has been awesome.
Yeah, same, man. Same.
I couldn't be more of a fan. I'm going to Cajun Fest with the whole family. We're rocking it out.
This is exciting.
2023. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
And for the listeners out there, I think the coolest thing about this is your passion can impact other people and give them something that they were seeking out that they never knew that they needed. Mm-hmm. For you, it was community around Cajun food.
Yeah. It's the vehicle. It's the means to an end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you got to do it with your best friend, JC, along the side.
And y'all, apparently.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your success.
Thanks,
man, I can't wait to hear how it goes. I can't wait to see you in your element at the Cajun Fest in 2023.
Out of breath, I'm sure, and frazzled, but we'll see.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's
man.
so much fun.
Thanks for being on the show. You've been listening to the Uncommon Life Project. I've been your host, Philip Ramsey.
The Aaron Kramer.
Until next time, go be uncommon. Thanks for listening.
That's all for this episode of the Uncommon Life Project, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.